Tucker Whitman,
Here.
Andrew Dennison,
Here.
Benjamin Vitale,
Present.
Mark Farrell,
Here.
Paul Bigney is excused, Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Present.
Joseph DeForest, Terry Baxter,
Aye.
Joseph Bennett,
Present.
Frank Reginelli is excused, Patrick Mahonik,
Here.
Timothy Lattimore, okay. Michael Didio,
Here.
Ryan Foley,
Present.
Keith Batman.
Here. Let's stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. Thank you. And we have one proclamation, Madam Clerk.
The proclamation is for Cayuga County School Choice Week, January 24th through the 30th, 2016.
Thank you. So, is there any public to be heard? Legislators? Anyone? Thank you. Move right along. If I could have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes. Mr. Bennett, second Mr. Farrell, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes, thanks. Dr. Drain.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Just a few items in addition to the written report that was provided. Our spring semester began yesterday, and really our enrollment is as expected. I believe I updated the legislature back in September, identifying that although we are down in enrollment, we had taken the steps necessary to really identify what that would mean for the rest of the year, and when it came to the shortfall in revenue due to being down in enrollment. And we've addressed that this year to be able to cut expenses to really match what we do predict will be our end of the year revenues. So the college, from a financial standpoint for this year's budget, continues to be healthy and really on target. Nothing has changed since my earlier updates for that. That being said, we are in the process of finalizing our external audit. Typically, you may have heard in the past, those that were here, that usually occurs around December. There are some changes to the standards, and we're looking to actually bring it to our Board of Trustees in February for final approval to close out last fiscal year. No significant differences from what we expected our year end for last year, so all is moving forward. I want to thank many of you that were able to attend. This past month we held an opening for kind of our Advanced Manufacturing Institute. You probably have heard that over several months and read about it. It was an exciting time for us because we were able to finally open the doors to demonstrate our commitment to the region's job creation and economic development by having an institute that's dedicated to supporting manufacturers. And just this past year, working with Auburn School District, we were able to launch our first P-Tech program focusing on manufacturing to connect with as early as ninth graders on gaining skills and insights into the manufacturing industry. So this institute is another step forward for us to be able to provide the appropriate training that is in response to what regional employers are telling us that they need that's valuable for them. And part of my commitment, certainly from the college's perspective, that we want to continue to build upon that momentum as we move forward into our future. Looking ahead for next year and for this particular spring, as you know, the biggest item we have when it comes to this spring is we do have our Middle States accreditation visit in late April, and that's when they'll be doing kind of a peer review of our institution in comparison to the standards for accreditation. And many members across our college community are working vigorously on getting those reports done and everything set for this year, but we anticipate to have a successful visit. And it's a good point for us, just like any other organization, to really take a review over the last 10 years and really identify our opportunities for continuous improvement and supporting our students and our mission as we move forward. So it's relatively routine, but it does take about 2 years to prepare for, and we're really closing in on that visit here in late April. So that really concludes my formal report.
Does anyone have any questions for the President? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all. I look forward to meeting you that I haven't been able to meet yet, and certainly working with you as we move forward this year. So thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, do we have committee reports, individual reports from legislators? Mr. Didio?
It's a new year for the committees that I report on. And the OASIS, Alcohol and Substance Abuse Committee, is running with a full agenda. We've been fortunate that we have had a quorum to start off the year. So we'll have a huge report coming in February. For the Cayuga Community Service Board, it's the same, and that will be held this Thursday, so I don't have anything to report specifically. And for the legislators specifically, the Intercounty Association of Western New York will be holding a Wednesday breakfast meeting at the conference in Albany. So anyone that is down there that is interested in the Intercounty Association of Western New York, a subcommittee of NISAC, let me know, and I'll give you some feedback if you care to have that. So the next scheduled meeting, there is one, because we do have a new president, so we're going to have a meeting in Ontario County for January, or I'm sorry, for February, and that usually doesn't happen. That is this is something new. So we'll have that meeting. We have several counties that have come forward for their, to offer their county as the meeting place, and that's what we do. We change counties every month. So seeing that our new president is from Ontario County, that's where the first one will be. And we're in discussion now to see if we, right now, the only one that's open is, the only month that's open is November, and that's going to be quite difficult for Cayuga County. So I'll give you more of that in the future. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Is the Ontario meeting, is that in Canandaigua or Geneva?
Well, they change. They don't, the last one was down on, I'm going to say, what's the name of the golf course? Canandaigua.
Yeah, I know where you mean. Okay. So,
Bristol Harbor?
Bristol Harbor.
so.
All right, it was in that area.
Okay. When we have a location and an exact date, what we'll do is share it, and if anyone's available to go, it's fairly close, so anyone can attend, right?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
if people are free, they can attend, see what the group's about. We have 2 openings, we have 3 appointees to that, and at this point, Mr. Didio is the only person who's come forward, so we have a couple opportunities here to see what the group does. So we'll either Mr. Didio or I will let everyone know exactly when it is and where it is, and then if you can go, great, just to check in. Mr. Lattimore.
I'd just like to say I'm present, but our paper calendar says that the meeting is supposed to be at 6:30. And
That was an old.
We had that conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not publicly, though. Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
A lot of
But-
revisions.
As a legislator, I would like to just know exactly where this county body stands in regards to the public safety building with the city. I know that they invited us over, but could we have that conversation?
Yes, I think that will be part of the administrator's report.
I don't know, are we committed to this project?
No, not at this point.
Well, the press has us sort of like involved with the planning and everything. so
Well, let's make that part of
Yes.
the discussion with her report if we
I
may.
would love to hear that.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other reports, or Mr. Foley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Tourism Board has closed their books for last year. It's with pleasure that I report that
Any other reports, comments? Okay, in that case, Madam Administrator.
So good evening. You have a report that I submitted and is in the box. I do have a couple of things that I wanted to add to that. One is that the Finance Committee met today. The Finance Committee was something that we organized last year. It had kind of fallen into non-meeting what with the budget, but we did meet today. That consists, for those that don't know, that consists of the treasurer's representatives, the county auditor, the budget director, and myself. Mr. Batman attended today and was not bored, so that was good. The principal purpose of the committee is just to enhance communication between the administration and the treasurer's office and the budget director, just to get everybody talking. We find that occasionally there's a lapse, and so we're trying to correct that. The other thing is about the public safety building, which will be moving forward. They don't expect that the departure of the city manager is going to cause any particular delay in that process. I'm going to be staying in touch with the city manager and the Christina Selvig, who's the Public Works Director, I think is her title. But at any rate, and the chairman will be meeting with the mayor to discuss the project as well. So.
Any questions?
Mr. Lattimore.
Mr. Sinclair, but are we, I think they've asked our LDC to be involved with the financing. Is that correct or incorrect?
I believe there's a meeting tomorrow morning, or not tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, so I'll be attending that. I don't have really anything to report about the financing. You know, certainly they're looking for grants and things such as that, so.
But I think there was some legal position that the state had made in regards to, this is an unusually, instead of just being a straight bonding situation, that they don't want to have it on their books. And
I'm not privy to those discussions at this time, so I don't want to state anything that might be misleading. But you know, as I learn more, I can perhaps be more informative on that.
well, I think that the project's a go, no-go, right off the bat, if it's financeable or it's not financeable. And if they don't want to take public bonding, which is the normal course of business, if you're going to build a safety building,
Right.
what are we talking about?
Well, the city's planning on moving it forward, so they must have, you know, some idea of how they're going about it. But I'm not privy to that discussion right now.
But I think,
Yeah, no, I'm
Chairman,
not.
I think we've indicated that if they build it, we might lease some space, but I don't think this body or any of our associate bodies should be involved in the financing.
I'm making a note. I am unaware of the direction in which they're going for financing. I've not been briefed on that, and so I can't address it. Mr. Farrell?
In some of the conversations, they're looking at different avenues of finances, and one of them might be along the lines of what Mr. Lattimore is saying. Because it's a public-private development, the rules and regs are gonna be different than what most public developments would be. So it's premature really to say that that's the avenue. I think they're looking at different avenues. That might be a possibility that CCDC would be involved, but nothing along that line is solidified. And as far as our interest goes, it's my understanding that we have an interest to communicate with the city, find out more information, and see if it's something that we're gonna be involved with or not. But I think that's the extent of our commitment.
I think that's correct. Any other questions for the administrator or comments? Okay, great. Well, I have a short report because I've been on the job a short time. I spent much of this month trying to get my legs under me, as you can imagine. I have represented you, however, at several meetings. I represented the county at the Martin Luther King celebration, at the governor's rollout of his upstate initiative. And by the way, Tim, I did have the opportunity to shake hands with the governor and ask him if we'd be getting any money, and he was non-committal. So just so you know, I did ask.
Well, that's good.
Was pleased to be invited to the Plastic Institute, the unveiling. It was a very nice ceremony. Thank you for the invitation. I've met with the governor's regional rep, and I have a meeting with Senator Schumer's rep this week, and we'll continue to reach out to these people whom I think will be able to provide some benefit for the county. Also met with President Durant and Vice President DeBello, along with the administrator, to talk about the various things that are happening at the college. The issues of regionalization, the Smart Edge program, Bolton, and so on. I think our chair of government ops has also met and gotten some updates. One of the things the president offered is that if members of this body would like updates on what the college is doing, kind of in an informal, small group way, they're happy to set that up. So if people would like to have the opportunity to sit with the president and his staff and get an update, let me or Mr. Foley, the chair of government ops, know, and we'll arrange some times for people to come in at their convenience. So I think those are the things I wanted to share. So thank you very much. Mr. Lattimore.
Talking about Martin Luther King Day, I happened to be in Atlanta. It was very nice to be there. But one thing in regards to the colleges, do we have the master plan done, Brian, in regards to, is it online yet, or?
It is not online. It was formally adopted in December by our Board of Trustees, though we'll look to make a copy available to you.
Yeah, and I think.
It hasn't been moved online. I should have mentioned, we did just launch a brand new website a couple weeks ago, but I don't believe it's online. We'll make sure it's
Thank you for all you do.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. At this point, I would like a motion to accept the various and many appointments for the month with one exception. We're gonna pull on the second page, under Ways and Means, the deferred compensation group. We've discovered that in 1998, this board voted to make Ways and Means the deferred compensation group. And apparently that just fell by the wayside, but it's reemerged, and so the body did agree that Ways and Means would function as a committee of the whole for the deferred compensation, so we do not need an appointment to that. Other than that, if I could have a motion to accept the appointments. Mr. Didio, thank you. Second?
Second.
Ms. Foley, thank you. Any discussion?
I know that you and I discussed deferred camp in regards to my appointment, so that was why we discovered this thing?
I don't know why we discovered, it just came to my attention today and went, whoops. Mr. Westfall, can you shed some light? I think you found the local law, or no?
The administrator had a copy of the
Oh, okay.
resolution in her file.
Okay, so we just, it was just, I guess
I
an
was
oversight.
looking through the file in anticipation of the appointments, and there it was. It was something apparently early, it was something that apparently early on I had come across, and then, it got buried again in the file, and so when I was going through it again today, I found it. So, it was as far as we can tell, the latest resolution having to do with the composition of the Deferred Compensation Committee. It was simply, exactly as the chairman said, it's a committee of the whole that's Ways and Means.
But, Mr. Chairman, as we discussed our fiduciary responsibility in regards to our employees, I still would like to see two vendors there, whether it's Ways and Means and whether it's some other body, that we come up with another vendor other than Nationwide
Okay.
to protect us
Right.
as a body.
Great. Well, why don't you and I talk about that a little more, since
Thank you,
it's
sir.
not gonna work out quite the way we had hoped, so. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That takes care of about 4 pages of the agenda, moving quickly and rapidly through. Okay, could I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the communications and announcements?
Motion.
Mr. Bennett, second. Mr. Dennison, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. Our monthly resolutions, Mr. Farrell.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present the regular monthly resolutions, 1A, B, and C. Those have been through Ways and Means Committee. I'd like to present them. 1D was not. So A, B, and C.
Okay. So, A, B, and C. A second? Mr. Bennett, thank you. Is it any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Regular monthly resolution 1D would be for remaining audits of 2015 that weren't prepared for that past meeting, so was not through committee, so I'd like to present 1D.
Okay, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, a second? Mr. Bennett, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bundle Ways and Means motions WM 1 through 4. They've been through committee.
Does anyone object to the bundling? Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Mr. Whip?
I would just like to thank the Ways and Means Committee for WM4. That's something I've been trying to get moving for a few years now, and I'm really happy to see that we're continuing to push that ball down the field and see where it takes us.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to Ways and Means. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Health and Human Services, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health and Human Services has 27 resolutions. They've all been through committee. I'd like to bundle them and present them to the legislature.
Okay, does anyone object to the bundling? Okay, a second? Any seconds? Mr. DeForest, we'll give you your first formal second of the 2016. Any discussion on any of these? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Foley?
Mr. Chairman, Government Operations has 10 resolutions. GO 1 through 9 I'd like to bundle, and they have been through committee.
A second? Does anyone want any of these pulled? Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, GO 10, just had some minor amendments made to it to get correct numbers in there. I presented it on its own, and it is authorizing the county attorney to fill a vacant assistant county attorney position within the county attorney's office and setting the salary for the same.
That's a motion, I see.
That I have, that's gone through committee, and I presented to this body.
Okay, a second? Okay. Mr. Dennison, have there been modifications to this as distributed?
Not since Ways and Means. The modification was the position control number and correcting the set.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Pinckney's not here, and I'm not sure who is the vice chair of planning at this point. Mr. Farrell?
Unless there's been a change. Planning has 2 resolutions, PL 1 and PL 2. I'd like to present them as a bundle.
Any objection to the bundling them? Okay, second? Mr. Bennett? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Vitale?
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to announce that we only have 5 resolutions this month. And I'd like to bundle all 5 of them together, PW1 through PW5.
Okay, could we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mahoning?
Mr. Chairman, Judicial and Public Safety, we have 7 total resolutions. I would like to offer resolutions JP 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 as a bundle. JP 4 was tabled at committee.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7.
Correct.
So Could we have a second to that? Mr. Vitale? Any discussion on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
JP8 was added at Ways and Means, or after Ways and Means. It's a resolution calling on the state to develop 100% state-funded indigent legal defense system as a way to provide mandate relief and lower property taxes. The Supreme Court has determined in the past that it's been the state responsibility to fund these operations. However, we spent $900,000 last year. The state reimbursed us $170,000, leaving us on the hook for $730,000. So this resolution would just be in support of Senator DeFrancisco's plan to kind of make the counties whole and have the state take on that responsibility.
So we have a motion from Mr. Mahunik, a second from Mr. Baxter. Any discussion on this? Okay, wait, Mr. Farrell.
Just a statement, Chairman. This is the only way that counties are gonna be able to stay within a tax cap or anywhere near a tax cap, is for the state to recognize their financial obligation to the counties, and start funding these mandates that are put on our shoulders. This would go a long way to helping us with our budget issues, almost $800,000. Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm glad to see there's no one opposed to this one. Great. Okay, before we have an executive session, is there any other business? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion for a short executive session.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
One issue on the deaths, Consetta T. Connie Fantasia, I'd like to have her name read into the record, so I'll give Sheila the information.
Very good, thank you. So could I have a motion for executive session to discuss an Article 14 of Civil Service Law negotiation? Mr. Bennett, second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
We do not anticipate any business following this, although I always say, you are all welcome to hang around. Just never know.
Do you need us to? We always do.